Alrighty, and welcome back, guys, to episode 3 of On the Hook, my Dead by Daylight podcast. So today we've got another content creator joining us for a discussion. We will be talking Christmas events, favourite killer survivors, any potential new killer and survivor you'd like in the game, talk about matchmaking, amongst much more. So stay tuned, guys. First off, we'll start off with the introduction, guys. We've got a special guest today, and that is Lydia. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, Lydia, please?
Hi. I don't know what to say really. I've got a lot of hours in Dead by Daylight. I'm a reformed survivor main, now turned killer main. Play a lot of all different killers really, and just don't take the game too seriously. But thanks for having me anyway.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on. Okay, Potato?
Well, you guys should hopefully know me by now, as I'm in this third podcast. I'm just a small YouTuber who mains killer, and I've been doing it since February. And I am also reformed survivor main as well. So yeah, that's me.
Alright, and last but not least, we have CptSalty, who I've noticed you've changed your name to SWF Hater.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I'm
Oh, wow.
Salty. I'm the co-host of the show apparently because I'm in it in every episode. Yeah, I'm not a YouTuber, not a streamer, but I take DBD far too serious. That's why I'm here.
Thank you for that, guys. Okay, so what we'll do first, so we've got a couple of topics to go over. The first one we want to speak about is the Christmas Advent calendar. So I know this has stirred a bit of a mixed reaction. So just for the people that don't know, so what the devs have said, most days from December the 1st to January the 3rd, they're going to provide currency upon logging on. Interesting, they said most days, but you've also got a handful of cosmetics via redeem code. What the devs have said is to focus on anniversary and the Halloween event, and the others will be a bit of a celebration, so they can focus on making bigger and better events. So they have listened to feedback from what they've said on the Hallow Blight event, which we know didn't go down too well. But firstly, guys, what's your opinions about the new event?
Good for content. Yeah. I mean, from my point of view, I do a lot of like Dead by Daylight news related content on YouTube. So essentially something new coming out every single day is like very good for people like me. But I think it's going to be, it's just the fun of not knowing as well. Just, oh, I could wake up one day and have, I don't know, 50 auric cells, or I could wake up the next day and then get a full set cosmetic. Who knows? But yeah, it should be fun to see all of that. Not looking forward to the Dwelfs though, that are going to make a comeback.
Yeah, I've got to say, in the background of this podcast is going to be an hour of Dwelf, because I've bought the character and he's just going to be running around. All my boosted survivor player will be in the background. Potato, what do you think then?
Yeah, I can't wait to get my 12th outfit back on, because I bought that last year. And you cannot forget the Christmas bill. I think it's great. I mean, I'm never going to complain about free cosmetics, and it encourages everyone to come online every day and have a look to see what they get, and it's kind of exciting to see what you get. I'm hoping the actual gifts are great and they're not something silly like 100 shards. I hope it's something worth your while logging on. But I'm looking forward to what cosmetics they're going to bring.
All right, and CptSalty?
I have now a big opinion about cosmetics because I use the standard skin on every survivor or killer because I don't give a shit about them. But I think it's the right thing for the community because they asked for that. They wanted that with the Hollow Blight event. They got disappointed in that, and now they, like you said, they listen to the community, to the backlash, which is like, okay, if you thought about that before, you wouldn't have a backlash, but that's another topic. But it's like now you get something for free if you log in. You have like a reason to log into the game, and you can be happy to get something. And what I think it's like we maybe get something like charms no one needs, but it's free. So who cares?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's an interesting point you made because the Hallowed Blight event brought a lot of criticism because people wanted free things, and then what I'm finding now, I'm thinking, well, they've given us the free things, but now there's something else to sort of complain about. But personally, I'm happy with the event. You know, who can complain about free stuff? Looking forward to, like you said, Lydia, I'm looking forward to opening up my advent calendar. You know, who doesn't do that? And seeing what comes out of it. So, yeah. Anything else to add on any of that, guys? Or it seems to be a consensus that we're happy with the event. Is that...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good way of doing it as well. The fact that there's gonna be something new every single day. So even if you're not too happy with one thing that you get one day, then they're going to be catering to a different audience the next day, and so on and so forth. And it's going to keep on going on, not just for the whole of December, but partway through January as well. So, I mean, it's a very small thing for them to have actually done by, like putting codes out there, making a new cosmetic, making a new charm, whatever it may be, or even if it's just in-game currency. It's not that big of a task for them to really carry out, but it's going to be really providing to everyone. So I think it's a smart move from them to really make sure that everybody's getting a little bit of something.
Yeah, I expect them to maybe even give you a DLC character like one of the original ones, like Plague or Blight. Maybe that would be cool on the like Christmas day or something. That would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, well, they've done that recently as well, didn't they, with the Clown and Kate? I think they were giving them away as part of like a free giveaway the last few weeks, if I remember rightly. All right, so that's enough of the Christmas event, and we were going to speak a bit about the balance of the game, but I thought I'd change it because we've touched upon it quite a few times. However, we'll make it a bit more personal to you guys. So what we'd really like to know is, who is your favourite killer and survivor in the game?
Oh. I'm not gonna lie, I've got a command on my stream which is exclamation favorites, because every single time that somebody comes in and says who's your favorite killer or favorite survivor, they just use that and it says I don't have one. But I try to play as much as everybody as I possibly can. I've got a lot of survivors maxed out with all perks, so that really doesn't have any kind of bearing to me, apart from obviously the females generally have smaller character models, so that's a little bit of an advantage. But when it comes to killers, it's just learning someone new each time. I like the challenge, so lately I've been playing a lot of Legion, Pig, Huntress, and Doctor mostly. But I'll honestly play anyone if I think it's enough of a challenge. You're not going to catch me there with all Slow Down Freddy, unfortunately, but yeah.
All right, Potato?
See, you asking another hard question, because I enjoy a lot of killers, and to disappoint a few people, my favorite killer is not Legion, funny enough. It's actually Trapper, and the reason being is because he's one of those killers where setup is so important, and if you do it correctly, you're going to win chases so quickly, and it's so rewarding, and you can constantly experiment. There's so much to this one killer, and it's amazing, and I've not got bored of playing him yet, and I'm constantly playing around with different builds and perks, and everything about him is just so fun to play. In terms of survivor, I'd say Nia, just because her outfits are so cool and she's known for being the toxic survivor, so that's the reason why I like playing her, I guess. I don't like her. Sorry, go on.
Not Dwelf.
Not Dwelf, no. I don't play any male survivors unless it's a daily. I play Fengmin or Nia 99.9% of the time.
Is there a reason then why you only play female survivors? Because I'm conscious Lydia said obviously about the smaller characters.
No, it's nothing like that. I'm not one of those survivors that gets technical in terms of things like that or how much noise they make. It's just the survivors that I like. Fengmin and Nia are my favorite two survivors, so I just play them because I like them. That's the only reason.
For me, it's easy. My favorite killers are the killers that are not broken in the game. So not Nurse, not Spirit, not Pyramid Head, not Freddy. The last thing is who's broken. Maybe Doctor. I don't like those killers that are far too strong for solo queue and are made for survive with friends. I really like Wraith, because Wraith is pure skill. You don't have anti-loop, you don't have that much pressure on the map. You have like meh or decent map pressure, but not like a Nurse, for example, that can bring through the map, or like a Blight that can run, something like that. But it's pure skill. You have to mind game them because you don't have anti-loop, and that's what I like. It's like just proving how good you are with like a killer that is not good on its own, but the player that plays the killer is good and makes the killer better than he is normally. Same with Pig or something like that. I was a Pig main on my old account before it got taken down. And I just like those killers that actually prove your skill and that don't work without perks, that don't work with just you relying on someone else doing mistakes. You have to be on par with the highest skill level to play those killers, which is why I say probably Wave is my favorite killer. Survivors are mostly females because the reasoning is you watch them from behind and you don't want to stare on the man's butt for the whole time. So that's
All right, that's
why.
a good enough reason, I suppose. A follow-up to that question then would be, what one change could you make to your killer or survivor? So, Lydia, I'm conscious you haven't. You said you didn't have a particular favorite killer. Say, for instance, you used the one you use the most. What would you change about them, if you could?
Well, I actually do have it's a bit out of the box, but I do have one blanket change that I'd want across all the characters in the game, really. I want the difficulty to actually reflect the difficulty of picking up that killer, or, well, survivor, I suppose, for adepts. But that is one thing that I genuinely, really, really want to see changed in the game, because I know for the people that don't watch streamers or don't watch YouTubers and they're coming into the game for the first time and you don't really have any sort of background knowledge on it, it's going to be difficult for you to actually look at the characters and think, okay, well, based off of just their description and the difficulty rating, who do I want to choose to main or start leveling up first? And I feel like a lot of the killers don't properly represent how hard it is or how easy it is to actually play them. Like Hillbilly, for example, is down as being an easy killer. Freddy's down as being a hard killer, whereas in reality, I know a lot of these haven't been changed since launch. But if you're to pick up Billy now, you're gonna actually need to have a little bit more skill and adaptability to his power than if you pick up Freddy, who is very much a rinse and repeat type killer. So that is something across every single character. I want to see those updated, and I want them to actually be more accurate for people that are just coming into the game for the first time and need that kind of support.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's I'm quite pleased you brought that up, because that's something that we've probably never touched upon before. But I've had it where, like you say, Freddy, it shows that he's a hard killer, when in reality, I know, Potato, you've started using him today, so I'm quite proud of you for that one. But he's not the hardest killer to pick up, whereas if you put me as Billy, I'm going to struggle big time in the game, and he's classed as the easy killer. Potato, you've joined the dark side in regards to Freddy, I believe. Is that right?
No, don't get excited. No. I had to do his adept, and funny enough, I actually showed a group of killers pictures to my friends, and they all went. I said I didn't know what killer to play, so they all said. I said to them pick, and one of them said Freddy. So I was like, oh goodness sake, fine, I'm gonna go for his adept, and that's the video you saw and got excited about. But no, I don't have any intentions of maining Freddy. And Lydia, you read my mind there. I mean, Billy, for me, I don't know what is wrong with me, but I cannot learn that killer. He is so difficult to maneuver, and every time I activate his chainsaw, I don't even move my mouse. He will just curve off to a direction, and I'm like, bro, what is going on? I don't know. He should be on super hard, not easy, for sure, because when you first play this killer and you use his chainsaw, you don't expect that movement. It's really difficult to master, so that should definitely be changed for sure. But going back to your original question, obviously my killer choice was Trapper, and his base power by itself is so incredibly weak. He should, by default, have more than one trap in hand. So I'd like to see more of that. So then you don't have to bring a bag. You could mix up two of his add-ons rather than having to waste a slot on a bag, which would be really powerful for him. So give him a couple more traps in hand, and that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and CptSalty?
Trapper has such good add-ons, but you never use them. You have to use a bag, and that's why I say for Trapper they have to add more traps to Space Kid. I 100% agree on that, because he hasn't been changed. Like maybe they released a patch where he could actually replace the traps without picking them up, which was a huge change actually. But he still has his power so weak. Like, it doesn't even matter if you have like the back add-on. It makes the Trapper actually a completely different killer, because you don't have to run over the map, pick them up, because if you would start with 4 traps, you could place 4 traps. Like Heck has 12 traps in the beginning of the game. She doesn't have to pick them up, and she can replace them every time she wants, which is like stupid. But what I would say is like, they should also change the description on the killers, which is hard, something like that, because I think the clown is pretty hard to play because he's weak, and you have to really learn how to aim the bottle right to make use of his power. He's not medium as well at all, intermediate not at all. He's like, I would say he's a really hard killer to learn. Same thing with Freddy. Freddy's probably the easiest killer to pick up. Same with the new Doctor. He's not medium or intermediate, he's easy. The old Doctor was hard because you had to switch between treatment and punishment mode, and you had to know when to do what. So you had like 110% movement speed in treatment mode and 150% in punishment mode. So sometimes you lost objectives just because you didn't switch to a thing. So the learning curve for Doc is now pretty low, and he's not really hard to play. But what I actually want want behavior to stop doing is reworking killers to make them completely different from the original. And I'm talking about Freddy. Because right now Freddy has nothing to do with the Freddy from a movie. Not at all. Like in the old times, he was like a beast in the dream world. He could see your auras in the dream world. People could not wake up in the dream world without failing a skill check. And no dream snares, no teleport to the generators. Which was like basically the whole idea of Freddy, like 100% original from the movies. And now it's like they basically created the original killer with a license. So which they was like, personally, they killed Freddy for me, because when Freddy was released, I was really hyped for the killer, and I invested like, I think 1k hour just to master old Freddy. And old Freddy was the hardest to play killer after Nurse, in my opinion.
I'm so glad that you said that, because I'm in complete agreement. Before his rework, I used to main Freddy as well. And the old Freddy was so similar to that of the movie, and just it tied in really well. His old add-ons that used to be the best for him were the Z blocks, the unicorn blocks, everything that would reduce the amount of time taken to fall into the dream world. Honestly, the only rework that I wanted done to him is if you made that dream world transition shorter. But back then, when it had him set as a hard difficulty, you needed to work hard to be able to get kills out of that. But that didn't mean that he was completely unplayable. I feel like a lot of the feedback from the community, which influenced him being reworked into what he is now, is just this impression that he was completely unplayable, and it wasn't. You just had to work harder, and you had to accept that you weren't going to 4K every game with him. But now he's just absolutely leaps and bounds different, and it's, for me, it also killed the character. I much prefer the way that he was before.
And the old Freddy was not a chasing killer, he was a controlling killer. He knew where everyone was. That was his strength. Like, for example, think about old Doctor, when he could, like every 15 seconds, the people were screaming around in his terror radius. Freddy was like that in a dream world. He had like built-in barbecue and chili, nurses calling, deer stalker, and the only way they could get rid of it is like failing a skill check or waking each other up. But if everyone was in a dream world and Freddy could prolong a game forever, like forever, Freddy wasn't even like, wasn't even a new thing on Freddy. Like you could run perks, you could completely not use barbecue because you had it built in if they were all in the dream world. It was not a killer that was good at chasing. It was a killer that was actually good in controlling what the survivors are doing. And that's what the people were like, stop this. Like, old Legion was the same. Like, he was not good at chasing, but he was like really good in actually like annoying survivors. So they DC, like old Doctor. And the reason why they changed that is like because maybe low rank survivors were like saying, oh, this killer is overpowered, he can see auras and stuff like that. Or seeing auras is not overpowered if your chasing is abysmal. You know, it's like that was the only strength that Freddy had, was this controlling aspect when he managed to pull all 4 survivors into the dream world, where he was the boss. Like, you could not do anything in the dream world without Freddy knowing about that. That was powerful. He could not chase without you being in the dream world. So he could not interact. You could basically just sit on the gen. He had to pull you into the dream world, which was like, I think, 8 seconds. And until you were completely in the dream world, he could not stop you from doing the gen. You could basically sit on a gen right in front of him and he could do nothing. Which is pretty much why people said he should be reworked, because his chase game was F tier. But like people worked really hard to learn this killer. I know Hexy, I know Farmer John, they were all Freddy mains on the old Freddy, and I know that Farmer John stopped playing the new Freddy, but I think Hexy's still maining the new Freddy, but the old Freddy was so much different from every other killer. It's like you can't compare the old Freddy with any killer you have in the game, which made him special, and they completely killed the character for me.
See, I never played Old Freddy, so I'm coming in at a different angle here because I never had him when he was old. I can't even remember when he got changed, but I quite like. I mean, if you see the majority of my videos, I do play Freddy quite often, but I did say a few weeks back is that I'm just bored of him because I enjoy him when I'm playing against strong Survival Friends teams. If I could see that I had a strong Survival Friends team, if I could see the ranks and I could see they were all together, he would be my go-to character to go to because he is powerful. The majority of the games aren't that, so you end up finding yourself getting quite a few kills and it just gets boring. I think Lydia, you said it, rinse and repeat. It's just the same things over and over. But I do like the new Freddy, but it's interesting because Lydia and CptSalty are not the first people to say that about the old Freddy. It's like something that seems to have changed. They've made him powerful, but a lot of people are missing how he was.
I know a lot of people that stopped playing Killer just because they reworked Freddy. Yeah. Like I know a lot of people from the German community that main Freddy, like learned how to play Freddy, just started to play Killer and wanted to really get into Killer just by playing Freddy. And then they changed it and they completely dropped Dead by Daylight. They were not interested in Survivor at all. And they completely dropped Dead by Daylight because they were like, now he is basically a clown with slowing traps, or you can have this Doctor very rare add-ons where he can fake pellets and stuff like that. He can teleport to Jen, which makes no sense, and he has nothing to do with what he's in the movies. And he's boring to play, and he's just too strong in everything. He has map pressure, he has chasing, and he has tracking, which is stupid. Like it's really stupid, and they should nerf this character to the ground. Because he's cancer for solo queue. He can handle Survival Friends without perks. Like I saw Showstopper playing against Survival Friends with only Deerstalker, and just because he slugged a bit, but so he can find the survivors again when he left them, and he 4K'd like 3 games in a row just with 1 perk on Freddy, which shows how broken this character is.
Okay, I'm gonna stop playing this Freddy. I think that's what I'm gonna take out of this. Okay, so we're still gonna stay on about killers and survivors. One of the questions that people wanted me to ask was, what new killer and survivor would you like to see in the game? Now, just before you answer this, I remember, Lydia, when Pyramid Head came out, I'd started making videos about like my own theories on who the killer would be, and I remember it came up, and I think it's probably when I first found your channel. It's when I first found your channel, Lydia, and I remember, you probably don't remember this, but you'd made a video about the sound that the King had played, and you were saying, it's got to be Pyramid Head, and I commented and was like, no, I don't think it's going to be Pyramid Head, even though all the clues were right in front of us.
I remember this.
And you replied to it, and you were like, you were saying, and I was like, oh man, I was hoping like that comment to just hide away somewhere.
I think I put that didn't age well.
It didn't age well at all, and obviously you were a fan, because I remember Dead by Daylight as well showed your video of your reaction to it, so maybe Pyramid Head was one of your favourites. But if you could add any other new character, and it can be the licensed or an original character, what would it be?
Oh God, including licenses, that's a really good one. I made a few different arguments for some licenses that I'd like to see in the game. I know it's not reasonable or likely going to happen because we've got Resident Evil Resistance, which was still getting updated quite regularly, and who knows, maybe Capcom are going to do a reboot to it or release it as a standalone game at some point. But I would absolutely love to see a Resident Evil chapter in Dead by Daylight. I'd love to see some form of Titan. I don't know which. It could be Lisa, it could be Mr. X, it could be Nemesis, whoever you wanted to bring in. I honestly think that, especially now that we've had Pyramid Head, which is basically, the it's Konami's answer to Resident Evil, or what they were trying to make their own Resident Evil, and they ended up with Silent Hill. So if we could get something like Silent Hill in the game, I would absolutely love to think that we could have something like Resident Evil in the game as well. We have also seen it in practice as well, because like I mentioned earlier, we've got Resident Evil Resistance, which is essentially just Dead by Daylight, but for Resident Evil. So it proves that it's doable. It proves that there are so many characters that could come over. Jill Valentine playable in Dead by Daylight, Leon Kennedy, anyone that you want to name. I honestly think all of them would be really, really welcome in the game as well. I'd love to see that.
Okay, so we're talking Resident Evil. Potato, who would you like to see?
Ooh, that's a tricky one, because I'm not really a huge fan of horror games. Like, I've not actually played the Resident Evil series at all, but I know how good it looks. And I've seen, like, Professor X. He looks awesome and terrifying, and I think that'd actually be great in the game. In terms of horror movies, one of my favorites growing up was Alien. So I think having Alien in the game could be pretty cool, and they could use some sort of mechanic where he can attach eggs to survivors or something. I don't know, but there's a lot of potential with that type of killer. And now that they've got the new mechanic of being able to control multiple killers in the game, it could be something quite cool with Alien. Maybe when they actually kill the survivor, kind of like how Pyramid can execute someone, the alien can execute someone by spawning another alien. I don't know. That could be pretty cool.
Yeah,
If I put like that'd be quite difficult for the last remaining 3 survivors if the alien can keep reproducing more killers on the map.
Oh,
So
I'm on board.
That would be good, yeah. Speaking from a true killer man.
for sure, I would love to see the end game where I've killed all of them by spawning more aliens, and it's just 4 of us chasing the last survivor down. That would be hilarious.
Okay, so aliens, I'm presuming if you're putting aliens in, there's only one survivor that could be added to the rota there?
Yeah, I can't remember their names, but any one of them from the movies would be fine. You know, Survivor's not as important as Killer, is it, really?
Ripley, it'd have to be Ripley, Sigourney Weaver, yeah. Okay, Captain Salty, same to you then. What killer license or original would you like to see?
I have multiple ideas. Like, once I share an opinion on True Talent's idea because I really like the idea. It's a killer that gets faster when the survivor looks directly at you. Like, basically Witch from...
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Have you seen Doctor Who with the statues?
Yeah, exactly, something like that. So a killer that either gets faster when the survivor looks directly at you or blinds you, like interacts with you directly. So looping against the killer would be, you can't really turn around to look where the killer is. You have to guess where the killer is. But the killer is slow, like Nurse, basically, but gets really fast, like Blight, for example, when a survivor actually accidentally looks at the killer, which would make a lot of more mind games, a lot of more horror aspect in this game, because if you don't know where the killer is because you can't look at the killer, it's a far more like dangerous situation. And I would say it's a Witch from Left 4 Dead. Because you have already Bill from Left 4 Dead and you already have the license, and that's basically how the witch worked. Like, if you look directly at the witch for too long, she attacks you and goes berserk. Or you blind her with a flashlight or something like that. If you interact with the witch and you disturb them for too long, she goes berserk on you. And that's how the killer would work. It would be a really cool idea. And they already have the license for Left 4 Dead, so it should be a problem.
Yeah, well, The Witch as well was... I remember when they first released the trailer for the Binding of Kin, and that was brought up quite a lot of time, the fact that, is it going to be The Witch from Left 4 Dead? So, yeah, that's interesting. Now, I was going to say Alien as well, but it seems to be Potatolegion. You seem to have beat me to that. So I would probably say... I think there's a lot of interesting new horrors out now, but I'm going to... And I'll throw this out to everybody. I'm going to say, is it time we get Jason from Friday the 13th? What does everybody think? Has that ship sailed? Or
He's just the trapper. The trapper is Jason with traps. Like, his power is walking around with a machete. Yeah, I think the trapper is basically Jason, isn't he? In a way,
I'd like to counter that. I think,
Oh.
I mean, you can say before we got Leatherface, you could say Billy's Leatherface, but I mean, the devs do their thing. They're constantly surprising us and bringing out new ideas that we didn't think of. So I think it's possible.
What power would you give him? Because he's just like a big tank, isn't he? Like he's just kind of like Myers, but he doesn't stalk.
I remember someone had sent me a concept for Jason, and the power that he had was that he could actually throw his knife and pin people to objects. So you could use his knife as a range attack as well. So obviously you're not going to have the trap, but he throws his knife, the survivor would be pinned, and then the survivor can struggle out of that. So it's basically like a Friday the 13th slug version. You know, you throw your knife, you can slug them against a tree, for example. The friend can come and save them, or you can go pick them up and put them on a hook. So I thought that sounded quite interesting for someone like Jason, because he would have to be different than Trapper, wouldn't he, if he did come in, surely.
I don't think they will do it because he has his own game.
Yep, but we showed show with Silent Hill, didn't it, that it doesn't matter. You know, they can get a license. It's one of those that seems to have rumbled on. Now, I'm going to throw my neck on the line and say, surely it's going to be like a 5th anniversary. Is it going to be something like that? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Let's say it like that. I will want him in the game because for me it's just a trapper with another ability. Same with Pennywise. I don't want him in the game because we already have a clown. It's like what can they do? What can they do to make it that thing more special? It's like every other killer. Okay, let's not consider the cannibal Baba for that because it's basically another type of chainsaw guy. But like, what can they do? Like even if they have those license of Pennywise from it. It's like what is the ability of that guy? It's like just another clown, and they already have like a lot of outrage because people are afraid of clowns. Why should they do that again? It's like
I think for me, I think the whole point of the licensed characters is, you know, it brings on board new players, and it's a chance to take control of your favourite horror character. You know, a bit like Michael Myers. You know, he's a very iconic horror character. And when he was released, it did bring new players to the game because it was like, oh my god, it's Michael Myers. So I think that's the whole point. Because Pennywise is another one I'd like to see. But again, I hear what you're saying, but it's just about bringing, you know, these characters in.
But think about the players that actually play the game. Like, how do they react when they release Pennywise? Like, oh, we get another clown, great. You know, it's like you want something exciting new that's not in the game yet, and that's how license should work. And that's why I don't like the Freddy rework, because he's basically a hack, a trapper, and like teleporting is they can maybe nurse with Link just to generator. It basically has like a combination of multiple killers, and you don't have to play any of the killer because Freddy does it better. You know, it's like that's how I think they should not handle license. It's like, don't bring something in that's already in the game. Like even if it's design wise, or like if the power is the same or similar, don't bring something in that is already in the game, which is hard to do.
I think they do a really great job on non-licensed killers. I mean, the killers they make up themselves, like they're more fun to play than the licensed killers.
Yep.
And if I had to bring one licensed killer in, I know you guys will totally agree with this. What about Jaws?
Yeah.
Oh god.
I reckon every map just gets flooded. Everyone's in scuba suits, and you play as Jaws. That would be so fun.
It'd certainly be interesting. Yeah, we could have like you say, a water map, and just get eaten by a shark, basically. Another question that the server wanted to ask. So, console versus PC debate. Are you finding a difference now with crossplay?
Oh my god. I mean, I have gone against some really great console players. Like, I've gone against really great Swifts that have made me think, Jesus Christ, how are they doing this on console? Because I believe they've got a reduced FPS. Am I wrong in saying that? It's
Yeah,
30
they do.
FPS, if that's right. Yeah. So I know a lot of them experience lag, and I have played console as well with my brother who has it on console, and it's completely different to how you play on PC. So I feel like PC players do have that slight advantage if they're running an optimal PC. So when I go against 4 PC players, the game always seems to be more difficult than if I was to go against for console players. And I don't know what it is about console players, but they all love to try and 360 you a lot. Like a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's just must be easy to spin around on the analog stick, maybe. So, Jay, I think you're a console player. You might be able to back me up here. Do you like to spin around a lot when you're a survivor?
It's so easy on console.
Yeah, but it
And
doesn't
and
work.
killers on console can't do it because don't have the reaction because of the low FPS. So if you spin on a console, killers won't catch you. While if you try that against a PC killer, they will murder you.
I think as well, high skill killers like, dare I say, Billy, Nurse.
Impossible on console.
Whenever I go against them on console, I always feel like it's a lot easier than if I were to go against a PC player. So maybe they need to work on making it a bit easier for console players on certain killers, because I've not really yet, and there probably is great nurses out there that play console, but I personally haven't seen one when I've played Survivor yet. So I think there is a bit of a skill cap. I think PC have got an advantage over console just because of FPS issues and just general movement with a controller rather than keyboard. But I know FPS will be fixed with the new PS5 and Xbox coming out, so that's good.
That's
news.
actually quite interesting that you say that, because I went against a console nurse just yesterday, and my experience has always been when I'm going up against console nurses where it's generally just understood that it's a lot harder for them to master. Same with Huntress, like that they're so much easier to pick up and run along with on PC than they are on console. Every time I've gone against a console or controller nurse, they've absolutely slaughtered me. I think it's just because they're already at that disadvantage, and that particular character isn't optimized for their platform. They go hard, and obviously they've been playing they've been playing exclusively on console for however many years up until crossplay got introduced, and now that crossplay is here, they're having to hone their skills against PC players as well, but some of them are genuinely really brilliant. Like, I think when crossplay first came out, there was this overwhelming reaction from a lot of PC players that, oh god, I hope I don't get console players in my lobby. Geez, I'd happily turn off crossplay if it went for the queue times. Console players are so bad. And genuinely, since I've made the change over to Killer, there have been a ridiculous amount of console Survivor Friends groups that are just really leaps and bounds above a lot of the PC population. Not all of them, obviously. PC is by nature just more competitive, and it has that performance advantage. There are so many good console players out there. I really think it wasn't what everybody's reaction was when crossplay first came out. I think it's, as time's going on, we're seeing that there are quite a lot of very, very capable console players out there.
Yeah, I had the same experience with a nurse, exactly the same as what you said, Lydia. I mean, for me, I think just using nurse as an example, I said in a few videos before, I've never come across an average nurse. I've either come across somebody who's really bad with them or just learning, or I've come up with someone who is amazing. And there was 4 PC survivors and 1 console nurse, and this player just whooped us. I mean, it wasn't even like a debate, just completely annihilated us all. And the grief that they got in the endgame chat, and I was sticking up for this person. I was like, you know what, I just ignore the toxic comments, because literally you've beat us hands down, but I think people can't take the fact that you've done that. So I'm not finding any different with console and PC. Just an answer to what you said, Potato. I play on PC. I just use a controller because I've always used a controller, and I've only started playing games on a PC when I upgraded this one when I've been playing Dead by Daylight. So having to change over to keyboard and mouse, I haven't quite got to that level yet. So it's just, I'm naturally just always on controller. I can't 360 even with a controller on PC. I try to do it, and generally what happens is I run straight into the killer's arms when I do it, and I think they look at me and go, sometimes they give me pity, and like, look at this baby survivor, we'll let him out. But yeah, I can't 360 on it at all. But for me, I've found no difference. I've really enjoyed crossplay being brought in, because I remember the queue times before. It's helped so much. But one thing I've found, now I know we touched upon this last week, I found that the matchmaking's been so much better since it as well. Now I know, CptSalty, you might tell me last weekend And I know Potato, I think we had that discussion as well, didn't we? We said last weekend when they had the Bloodlust event, the Bloodlust experiment, it's sort of the rankings were a bit all over, but generally, for me, the rankings have been so much better since they've brought cross-playing.
Okay, so I don't. You guys must get really lucky when you play Survivor, because it's not just PC or console. Whenever I play Survivor solo queue, I have the worst experience ever.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be 9 out of 10 games. There, it's just horrible. I'll get left to die on first hook. My team will just get annihilated instantly. And then when the killer chases me, I give them a decent chase, even though they're not doing anything particularly great. And they're all the same rank as me. It's got nothing to do with their console or PC, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the time I play, but it's solo queue. It's the reason I main killer, because I've got all the control in the world over the game. Whereas when I play Survivor, it's all teamwork. But yeah, in terms of console and Survivor, I mean, I feel like I have worse luck when I'm in a queue full of console players rather than PC. That's just my personal experience. I'm not saying every console player out there is bad. By no means. I've been whooped by loads of console killers many, many times. And there've been some great survivors, but majority of the time I get paired with really bad teams, and it kind of puts me off playing Survivor. And I am a rank 1 survivor. I know I'm a boosted potato survivor, but I'm not that bad to the point where every game I'm left to die on first hook, or I don't go down instantly most of the time. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to explain, but most of my survivor games are quite terrible, whereas Killer, I have better games because I'm more in control of it, and I'm a much better killer than Survivor.
I had the experience that every time I have console players in my lobby as Survivor, I de-pip in the end. Just because like they farm you off the hook because they think it's good or something like that. At the beginning of the week, I was purple rank, and then like on constant losing streak. Now I'm like in the yellow ranks again on
That's a bit of a
Survivor,
drop, yeah.
which is like what the fuck. Like I play with the killer. I loop him for like 2-3 gens, and then he hooks me, and the cadet sees the killer right in front of me, and is like, maybe I should just like unhook CptSalty now. Like the killer's right in front of him. What can he do? And what is the killer doing? Tunnel me off hook. And he's like, what the fuck is this Claudette doing? And I'm giving him the signal, just kill me on hook. I'm done. And I did that like 10, 15, 20 games in a row. And it's always the console players are in your lobby because you can't talk to them before. You can tell them stop farming, don't do stupid bullshit. I had hush time today, like no fun at all. And then when you have like decent mates, you get the Mori and Noed killers, which is like I didn't enjoy Survivor at all right now. And I play more Survivor than Killer because I'm on the rank in Killer where I think I don't belong there, but the game always de-ranks me because of like putting me against Survivor friends that are not even in my ranks. You know, it's like like I have to play Killer. I have to grind this new account, and I'm in a green rank Killer, and I get constantly like Survivor friends in red ranks, and it's like it's fun to do that. You know, it's like since they did something with the Ruin rework 1 year ago, I feel like it's hard to get out of the lower ranks as Killer. And yeah, it's like my experience with Survivors, every time I have console players in the game, I absolutely get screwed over by them. Or the killer is just, or you have a console killer that's like really toxic and unfun, like playing Noet plus Devourho plus Mori, and you're like, no, I don't want this shit. It's like every time I played against console killers in the last 2 days, and every game was absolutely bullshit.
I think the things that you've said there, and Potato and Lydia as well, for me, I think it comes down to, again, that's just my opinion, is the solo queue. Sometimes you do have issues on solo queue, and it just depends. Sometimes you can be unlucky with it. Sometimes you can have a great team. I do still remember most of the great teams I played with because I'm like, wow, it doesn't happen very often. But yeah, Lydia, what do you think about the matchmaking? Because I know I mentioned that after. How are you finding it at the minute?
It's a real mixed bag. I mean, I definitely think it depends on your region and the time of day that you play, but sometimes you can have a solid few hours where it's like, okay, I'm rank 1 and I'm going up against a full set of rank 1 survivors that are all playing together, or red rank survivors, whatever it may be. And then the very next game, all the games after that for the next few hours are going to be, okay, I'm still rank 1, but now all of a sudden I'm going against green ranks and I'm going against purple ranks. And I'm not sure if it's something to do with just the ranks that are playing at that time, or whether there's some sort of change in the algorithm as to what matchmaking you actually get at a certain time of the day, or when a certain capacity of people are playing at any one time. But it definitely, I think, fluctuates. Like last night I was playing with some friends, and we were all a bit of a mixed bag of ranks, but none of us were really lower than purple ranks, like rank 5, rank 6, and we were consistently going against green rank killers just back to back. And it didn't make any sense because there was no sort of averaging or evening out of our ranks to equate to that. It was just, okay, I don't understand why we're getting these killers. But yeah, it keeps on varying for me.
I have an anecdote from my friend, and he started killer like 1 week ago. And he said, like, he showed me the games afterwards, and he faced, like, I think it's like 6 times in a row, red ranks in a team. And it's like, how can I beat that? How can I learn the game when I face against something I can't handle? And it's like, I have no idea. Like, I played this game since beta, and I have to quit because of health issues and stuff, and now I'm having to grind everything again because I lost my old account. And I'm like, I can't explain this to him. It's like, how can you enjoy killer if you face against those odds all the time? And that's why I say I hate Survival Friends, because Survival Friend breaks the matchmaking. It's like, you will never get like 4 ranked red rings against like rank 20 or 19 killer. You will never get that. Even in a normal matchmaking, it's like they are all in a group, and that's why they get matched against that shit. It's like, I don't know, it's like some kind of algorithm bug or something like that, but it happens. And how can a rank 20 killer, now he's ranked 16 because he got good groups so he could actually play against, and normal survivors on his level, and he could actually beat them because he learned a lot from me coaching him. But it's like, how can you beat that? Like, how can you actually enjoy the game if you get constantly put against survivors that are like not on your level at all? Like, they loop you around, they bully you, and then in the end it's like, oh, sorry, we don't know. If we had known you were a baby killer, we would have like not tried to bully, or like we expected you to be a like red rank killer. And that happened to him like 7 times in a row. And it's like, he said, I need a break from this game, man, until they fix the matchmaking.
I just had a thought then. I think this is just because, don't judge me, I've been going back to playing Overwatch in my free time lately.
Right.
But something that I've picked up from their matchmaking is within a certain like elo, a certain amount of SR, you can't queue up with people that are outside of that rank. And the problem with Dead by Daylight is because there's so few pips between brand new account rank 20 all the way up to rank 1. There's something like 70 pips in between it, something like that. It's really not that much of a difference at all. And I know it's going to be very hard because you're going to be isolating your audience if you make it so that certain ranks can't play with each other. But if you made it within some kind of bracket where, you know, only survivors within X amount of ranks can actually queue up together, then I believe that would help the problem. But also that's got its issues as well, because then you're going to put off people who are brand new to the game and want their friends to help them. It's a really difficult one to try and balance, but overall it's just something's not quite right now, where people are brand new killers and they're being matched with people who've got thousands of hours in the game. It just doesn't make any kind of sense to me.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing it'll do, it'll put people off. I always try, I'm in a few forums and Facebook groups for Dead by Daylight, and I always say to them, you know, it's disheartening when it happens, but try to learn from it. I think the only way they're going to learn and eventually be ready is playing against them sort of teams every now and again. You know, like you said, CptSalty, 6 times on a trot. It's that, I think my telly probably would have been out the window by that point, you know. But it is frustrating. It's something they do need to look at, definitely. The last few points, and Lydia, I'm going to put you a bit on the spot here because I'm going to catch up with some of the questions we asked the other guys. So
yeah, go ahead.
Overall changes to the game. If you can make one change, and also I know I've point this to Lydia, but Potato and CptSalty, if you've changed your mind on anything you said before, by all means you can interact as well. So if you could change one thing about the game right now, discounting bugs, because we know bugs are in there, but you can't change them at the minute, but you can change anything else, what would you change?
Ooh. It'd have to be the ranking system. Whether that's a case of, well, there's two kind of ideas that I would, in a ballpark, like to have changed. First of all, I don't want it just to be rank 1 to rank 20. I think it should be broader than that, especially now that the game has a higher population of people actually playing. I feel like you should have more range between a brand new account to the best players in the game.
Yeah.
Also, I think on the killer side of things as well, it's very, very difficult to learn a new killer when you are a rank 1 killer and a brand new killer comes out. And maybe it's just another M1 where you go around and you can basically just hit the survivor over and over again, and it doesn't really require too much of a change. But when they bring out new killers where they're very power dependent and you don't really have the opportunity to practice that too much, or you don't take to it that well, the only real opportunity that you have to learn that killer is if you get some friends into a custom game or something like that, and it's not very practical, and because you learn to adapt to those players' play styles rather than just actual public matches. So I'd like if there was some other way, whether it's some training system, some training mode, whether it's a different rank for each killer. I'd like to see something where you weren't just thrown in straight at rank 1, straight at the deep end, trying to learn a new killer.
That's something I actually put in a video before, because we were talking about ways to improve Dead by Daylight, and I put like a practice mode in. So literally 4 bots just running around, and gives you a chance to just practice, like you said, the killer, because you're right, if you're practicing the killer, I think the new killer comes out on Tuesday, is it? On the 1st? It's going to be, You're going to see a lot of frustrated players then, me included, running about in rank 1s trying to get a grip with this killer. I'm imagining Victor is probably going to get quite a few kicks on Tuesday. But yeah, I think it's a good point that you've brought there. One thing I think me and Potatolegion said last time was about MMR, so hopefully if it can fix that, because what we said at the minute, it's quite frustrating that we can't change our killer to adapt to the survivors that we can see. So once you're in, that's it, you can't change your killer without dodging the lobby. Like what you said there, maybe if it can get MMR fixed, so if I do decide, currently my nurse on PC is level 1, I haven't even unlocked Nurse's Calling on her yet or anything, I just haven't put any blood points into her, and I thought the idea of MMR was that when I do eventually pick her up and try to play her, I won't be going against the red rank killers straight away. Potato and CptSalty, any changes on what you said last time, or were you happy with?
I still want that change to happen, obviously. But I was just thinking, because it's happened to me a lot recently, is disconnects. They have been quite on and off and quite sneaky with the disconnect penalty, turning it on and off without really notifying us. The thing is, if they bring it back, the disconnect penalty, I think it is currently active. Survivors can just kill themselves on hook anyway.
Yeah.
And it actually kills the game for both killer and survivor, because you might be trying to go for adept or something and you're having a really good game, and then someone kills himself on hook. Yeah. And at rank 1, you need to get all 3 hooks, and you need to do really well for a really long time throughout the game. You can't just kill everyone in like a few seconds and get a merciless. You've actually got to play the game. They need to get rid of the struggle system and not allow people to kill themselves on hook, potentially. I think there needs to be something. If you're constantly killing yourself on hook, the game needs to be able to recognize that and punish you for it, or just not allow you to do it. So the last game you tried to Kobe 3 times, you can't do it this game, or something like that. But there needs to be a way of punishing the people that disconnect all the time, because it's ruining the game for everybody, and stop them from killing themselves on hook. That is another big change I'd like to see.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's quite interesting, especially, as I say, you're going for adept, so yeah, it's going to hurt you badly. CptSalty?
Okay, let's say about this whole thing with the killing on hook. Something I did a lot last time, because I got farming squads in every game. Like people that were downing me, the killer was picking me up, hooking me, let the survivor unhook, and then they directly down me, and I was like, I don't have time for this shit. So either you pick me up and you put me on a hook so I can kill myself and can go on, or I have to DC. And that's like a thing. Farming should be like bannable. It's like some people don't want to farm, and the only way where you can get out of this lobby is by DCing or killing you on hook. It's like basically a stupid thing. And I had this like 4 times today. And I know like even in like there are like even in green ranks there are people that just want to farm. But farming is just destroying the competitive aspect of the game. It's like no one wants to win, everyone wants to get points, to get maybe perks, and that's the whole different thing. It's like just remove the perk ranks so you don't have to get that many bad points to actually get a character to max level. It's like totally simple. It's like just said it. I'm looking for 4 perks for a specific build because I have built in my mind that I want to use on a character, and I have to get to all the useless perks that I don't want to use, or then I get like 1 perk that I actually want to use on my final build on rank 1. So I have to play a lot more, grind more, and so stuff. So before I can get the achievement of actually having my character with the perks I want, I waste so much time to get them. And if that's the reason why people farm, like they should just get rid of the perk ranks, because even for me it's like I had all the perks on my old account, and now that I had to start a new account, it's like the grind again. Like I can't understand like how new players can play the game with like 78 perks now, all on 3 perk ranks, all divided in 3 perk ranks. It's like the whole thing with discordance change. It wouldn't be necessary if they just would remove the ranks, the perk ranks, because the range on the discordance was not necessary at all.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, and that's like they could have just avoided that stuff, like that questionable balance thing, if they just would remove perk ranks, because right now you don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
Like you don't have like the 3 base killers anymore, where you need the perk ranks to actually get some kind of progression. But with 78 perks, and you all have to go through rank 1, 2, 3 level of perks to get the final perk that you want to get in your final build, it's stupid. And even if you get the useless perks that you don't want to use, you get them once, and you don't have to pick them multiple times to increase the chances of other perks showing up in your blood web, which is like my biggest problem with the game. It's like, even if you had like a account with like 2.5k hours and now it's gone, you have to go through all this shit again. And it's like 2015 and now we 2020. It's like 5 years. Make sure that it's like working, like, and you don't feel like it's horrible grind over and over and over.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, I'm conscious we're running out of time, guys. So, last question again. This is going to be just for you, Lydia. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot a bit here. So,
That's okay.
We asked this last week to the other guys, but what is your favourite killer perk and favourite survivor perk that you always have to have in a game, or you always want to have in a game?
Oh, that is hard. For Survivor, it's got to be Iron Will. It's just, it's really strong. It's so strong. If you're I mean, obviously now that I play Killer, I realize just how important it is actually being able to hear those survivors, being able to hear those grunts of pain, as they call them. And when you come across a survivor that's not running Iron Will, it's easy pickings. You can just locate them really quickly and be like, got you, never mind. Even if I'm walking past a locker, if they've not got Iron Will, I'm like, okay, you're in there, that's all good. So knowing how important sound is to Killer, if I'm playing Survivor, I tend to not run anything without Iron Will. I'm not going to say Dead Hard either, because that is so ping dependent. I don't even want to talk about it. From a Killer point of view, I would say Barbecue for the blood points, because I'm P3ing everybody right now, so that is very helpful. But in terms of actual use in the game, I think my favorite one that I like to run quite a lot, and this is because I play as Legion more than anyone else, I love running Blood Echo. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit of a sadist, but I really enjoy running Blood Echo, especially when there's just a moment of panic with all the survivors realizing, oh crap, I can't use Lithe or Dead Hard anymore. It makes me laugh a bit, not gonna lie. I quite like it.
Oh, good. Well, it's 2 different ones as well, because I think I did say Dead Hard, but I did put on there When It Works, because it's so frustrating of a perk, but when it works, it's quite a good one. Very different to what the other guys said. last time. Alright guys, well I think that'll be it for this week. Anything else anyone wants to add before we go, guys? Or
Thank you for having me.
no problem at all.
Yes,
So,
thanks for having me again.
yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully,
Yeah, I will just be here
get
again.
together again next week. Okay, and that was the end of the podcast, guys. I just wanted to say a special thank you again to Lydia, to Potatolegion and to CptSalty for their input. If you did enjoy the videos, guys, please give it a quick like, and if you haven't already done so, if you do enjoy my content, please press that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and that will update you when I release any more videos. Alright, thanks guys.